Okay, so who here is a member of Ecom Empires on Facebook? I bet a lot of you guys are. I think it's one of the better groups out there, and Nick Peroni has done so much to help bring people into the e-commerce game. He's a real true blue kind of guy. He's a seven-figure ecom empire builder in his own right, but I think he's helped probably more people than anyone else get into dropshipping, get into e-commerce, take those first steps, get motivated. He is an expert at holistic strategies that scale and that help people stay in the game for longer and longer. He's here to teach us how to pick a niche that can't fail and sell products that people love to buy. Welcome to the stage, Nick Peroni.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you very much. I am excited to be here. As you see, the topic we're going to talk about today is how to pick a niche that can't fail and sell products that people love to buy. So we're going to jump right in here. I want to make this very actionable, give you guys some good resources and really some good just guidelines and tips and ideas that you can use. I know some of you in here may already have a niche that you're in. Some of you may be like just randomly trying to find something. But really the idea is this is an ever-evolving, always changing market. And so these principles and these ideas and kind of knowing what you're looking for, I think, are one of the most important parts in e-commerce. Not always the sexiest, but I'm going to try to make this enjoyable as possible and just give you guys a lot of value here today. So we've all heard the saying, the riches are in the niches. And one thing that I want to say really before we go any further is that any niche really can be a profitable niche, right? Like we all know the big categories, I think, that do well, like health and beauty and fitness and home goods and kitchen and dining, right? Like these multi-billion-dollar categories that we all know and understand are always going to be big categories that anybody can sell into. But the idea is creating like a structure in your mind and a process that is going to allow you to look into these big categories and consistently find the areas that are going to allow you to make money and find those audiences and products that are going to allow you to stay in the game and be consistent and build something long-term and long-lasting and not just be like a one-hit wonder and not really understand what you did, but continue to evolve. So the 3 steps that I want to go over here today, kind of walking through a process, starting at discovering what the market wants, and then talking about how we validate for sales and scale, and then identifying viral product potential. So for those of you who don't know me, just really quickly, Nick Peroni, creator of Ecom Empires, and like Eric so graciously said, one of the things really that I'm best known for is not necessarily my own success in e-commerce over the past 4 or 5 years, but really being able to help a lot of other people in e-commerce, and through my group creating hundreds to thousands of success stories. And one of the things that I'm good at is this topic right here, and that's why they wanted me to speak about this, is just kind of being able to help people analyze and break down a market, because like a lot of this I've gotten from just studying the great marketers in the past, like Jay Abraham, people that have had a big influence on me. And now also networking. I have a huge network and I'm traveling the world doing events all the time, masterminds and hosting my own events. And so I see what works, right? Out of the 60,000 people or so in my network, I'm constantly seeing what's working, what's not working, and like analyzing and studying why things are working and kind of boiling all that down into this for you guys right here to hopefully give you some of the best practices and ideas that you can use. So starting off with discovering what the market wants. And really, to me, this is where the money is made. For me, everything in e-commerce is about finding a product-to-audience match, right? Like all this stuff that we're talking about here are fantastic with the tactics and the techniques and the ideas and scaling strategies, and you need that stuff. But you have to have a good product at the very core foundation of all of it, and you have to really understand like what your value proposition is and why this is selling, because it's I shouldn't say very, but it's a lot easier to scale a product that's already a match for an audience. Those are like the products that kind of just sell on themselves sometimes without even really being a great technical marketer, than it is to have a bad product and you see people trying to push a product that the market doesn't really want, and they're like, just give me this scaling strategy, or just tell me how to do manual bidding and do like $1,000 daily ad sets with a max bid. But like if you don't have a product that the audience wants, then none of the scaling strategies, the bidding strategies, like that stuff is not going to matter. So I look at niche selection in two ways, trends and market gaps. And I think this applies to any type of business in e-commerce, really. With trends, of course, this really applies very well to dropshipping because a lot of us, I know, and myself included, you have a general dropship store and you are looking for trends as they're happening, right? Viral products that are coming to the market, new innovative products, and you're looking for these types of things. But we're going to talk about like ideas of how you can be ahead of the trend, and that's one way you can run your business is constantly looking for trends to be ahead of it and push out products that are going to make you sales. And the other way I look at it that has more to do, I think, with like market gaps, I think has more to have to do with building a brand, building something more long-term. Like I have a software company I'm building right now that has to do with Google Maps and small business owners, and like we're really kind of focusing on a market gap there between what small business owners are doing and like what they know about Google Maps and how they're taking advantage of that. So that's more like a long-term brand idea, looking for those market gap opportunities where you can really, it's like value in innovation. It's like looking for your blue ocean strategy where you're looking for something that you can do differently or do better than other people in the market to really serve an audience. So talking about spotting trends and riding the wave, this, I think, is a mindset shift in drop shipping right now that I really try to talk about in not being a copycat forever, right? Because that's getting really hard to do. And a lot of people in the drop shipping world are playing that copycat game where you're following the big stores and you're looking for the viral products as they happen and then trying to catch in on that wave. And sure, that can work. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't work because it can, and you can find good product ideas that way. And there's a lot of softwares and tools out there that allow you to do that. But where it's more profitable is where you can get in front of a trend, right? And where you can spot that trend before it's happening. And so a few ideas that I just want to give you, like resources of places that I've used and that I talk about at my masterminds that I know have helped other people where you can go and find trends. This first one is alltop.com. This is a site basically that curates all like the top trending articles in different industries around the world. You can see they have like all the major categories on top. The example that I have a screenshot here of is travel, and I looked at 5 essential travel tech gadgets for your next trip, right? Like that's a good idea that you could find for, it's giving you almost a marketing angle and an idea. And this is recent, like these are recent things that I did just for here for this presentation. So like coming here is one way that you can look around and you see they have a ton of stuff on here. It's just kind of one of those things like browsing around. I have my team browse around and look through this stuff. I look through it where you can find good ideas sometimes of things that aren't necessarily being sold yet, or they are, but you can find like market angles that you can take by seeing some of the trending articles that are out there. Trendhunter.com is a fantastic resource, especially for people that are looking to actually build a real business, build something with longevity. This screenshot here is one of the things that they have where it's patterns of opportunity and mega trends. And I'm not gonna go through all of it because you can just go to trendhunter.com and see this. But one of the things that I like on here that they have is the one there that's about personalization down here in the bottom left red corner. Because that's a huge trend right now, right? And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more with print on demand. I think is one of the biggest trends you're going to see happening from now through 2019 and beyond. Like, I mean, it already is happening, but print on demand, personalization, like apparel and accessories is still one of the largest selling categories in the entire world, by far and away compared to anything. Apparel and accessories sells more because it's a commodity, right? But people want now personalized stuff, and there's so many opportunities in print on demand to meet that in the market. And that's a trend like that you can get in front of now and start building stores and brands that cater to that. Repinned.net. This is a cool site that takes everything from Pinterest and sorts them by the top pins. So Pinterest is an amazing place to find ideas for print on demand especially, but really they have categories in everything that you can see: home decor, weddings, humor, food and drink. Like there's so many categories. But this is great because if you come here and you look in a category and you see something that's getting pinned a ton of times, then chances are it could be a good idea of something that people want that is trending, right? Looking at this one, I'm sure most of us know about Google Trends, but I don't think a lot of people use it as much as they could be, and it's actually a fantastic resource because, of course, Google is the largest website in the world, and they're getting billions of clicks a day, so you can really see what people want by looking at this stuff. So when you look at Google Trends, what I have here is beauty and fitness is selected worldwide for the past 30 days. And down here, what I really want to point to is the two ideas that come up in the search queries for facial cleanser and pull-up bar. Right, so like Google Trends, based on a category, is feeding out ideas right there of stuff that is trending right now within the past 30 days that people are looking for on Google. So, I mean, that's a fantastic resource, and that's just looking at one of their categories, and you can't even see the whole screen. There's more search queries there, and they'll show you like places around the world where it's trending the most, and then you can take that keyword, like we'll look at later, and go even deeper into the research to start looking and pulling out more ideas. So just using Google Trends for ideas is a fantastic place to see different kinds of stuff. And then finally, not much to say about this, but if you don't know trendwatching.com, you should go sign up. They have a free newsletter. I'm not affiliated in any way with them, but they have a free newsletter. They're amazing. They have all kinds of categories where they just send you out like innovations and trends that are happening in whatever industry you want to know about. And like some of the biggest, like Coke, Pepsi, Nike, like they're clients of trendwatching.com, because even if you are a brand and you know what your market is and you know what your niche is, you still need to stay on top of consumer trends. Because if you don't, then that's how things like Blockbuster or BlackBerry happen, right? Big companies that thought they knew it all, and now they're nowhere to be found because they didn't stay on top of the trends of the market. So final thoughts on this section is just that it's an ongoing process, and really, if you are getting started now or just in the early processes, you should be thinking about how you can make your brand in a way that is flexible, right? That can be very flexible to the marketplace, and what I mean by that is not so rigid where it's like you can't pivot or you can't include other things or do other things, right? You want it to be something that you can adapt with consumer trends as they happen. So now taking it to the next step in validating for sales and scale, right? So like market to niche level, when you start looking at a market and start finding ideas of what you think could be good niches, then we want to validate these niches to see if it's going to be something that's like really worth building a business into. And again, it goes two different ways, right? Like you just might be looking for a cash grab type product, and that's cool. But this is more of a section based on like when you really want to establish yourself into something and kind of start building something a little bit more sustainable. Criteria that I use, right? So this is personal stuff that I've kind of learned over the years and put together. Number one, large enough for scale. We're going to look at that in the next two slides, two ways that I kind of determine if a niche is large enough for scale, right, to be like a consistent, something that can bring in 6-7 figures in and of itself just as that niche. Proven buyer's market, right? So looking at like those main big categories that we talked about, health and beauty and fitness and tech, like these are proven buyer's markets, right? That are huge multi-billion-dollar industries, and so we know that there are buyers there, and we know that we can go find subsets in that buyer's market and then try to make money by filling these gaps and finding unique product ideas. Easily identifiable and quick producing, these kind of go together, but I see a lot of people, I see this all the time actually, where people like they get into a niche or they're just like they see something they think is cool, but they don't necessarily know who the market is. It's like Ryan Dice talked about at the opening at Affiliate World. Like you have customer avatars, and when I look at products and I look at niches, I want to know who the customer avatar is like almost immediately. You may have to go back and research it a little bit more, but like you should know just by looking at it. If you don't know, then it's going to be just more difficult of a process for you. Quick producing market, I think that applies to most of us with drop shipping and print on demand. Like you don't want to have to educate the market too much. That's always an uphill battle. And then pride, passion, or problem. These are like the 3 Ps that I always try to remember because they make really great products to sell. When you are selling a product based on somebody's pride, like what they're proud of as a person, passion, things that they're passionate about, and a problem, of course, which is like marketing 101, anytime you can solve a problem. Or even if you can like create a problem in the mind of the user that wasn't there before, like an example that we'll look at, and it like creates a problem that now they want to solve. So going back to the number one part, like how to look at it in terms of number. Google Keyword Planner is one of my favorite tools and resources where you can go in here and not only validate the numbers, so like in here I use that portable speakers example, and I look for stuff that has a search volume of like 10,000 and above, right? And that's just a number to let you know that people are searching for it. It's an in-demand thing on Google. Google's, again, the largest website in the world. It's different than running Facebook traffic, but if people are searching for it and there's a demand of 10,000 searches or above every month, then you know it's a product people want. But also, Google Keyword Planner is fantastic for giving you ideas of how your market thinks and what other products might be related in that niche. Because you can scroll down, and you can't see it on here because of the screenshot, but at the bottom it'll give you keywords by relevance. And so you'll be able to start seeing other ideas of keywords that are related to that niche, of product ideas you may not even thought of. And also, you get to see how the market's thinking in terms of, you may think it's one keyword, but maybe there's another keyword that's more popular, that's how they're actually searching, right? How people are typing it into Google is how they think. So it can give you ideas on how to title your products, how to name your collections, like how to structure your store, based on like seeing what the main keywords and the main ideas of what people are searching for in that niche online. Google Trends, again, not only as a place for ideas, but a place that you can validate a trend or get ideas of how this trend works in seasonality or around the world. So this, again, this is just a portable speaker example, but I look for stuff that has so 0 being the bottom of the trend, like nobody cares. This is not something anybody searches for, and 100 being like the top trending search on Google. The idea is, like, at least I want to see something around 50 or above, right? And if you were to scroll down, it would show you interest by region and like where the largest countries are actually searching for this, and you can change the time frame, 90 days, a year, 5 years, to see the overall consistency or the trending as it happens. Like if you were to type in, for example, bride shirts or bachelorette shirts, which is a niche that I've sold into before, then you'll see that like it peaks in the summertime in the US, and that's because there's a wedding season in the US. And so you can look at that and kind of get the idea of the seasonality of what you're selling, so you know, like say for example, there are people that run entire businesses just on selling like print-on-demand stuff in trending times, like Father's Day, for example. You could look at Father's Day gifts and see when does that start to trend and when does it stop. So you know when your market of opportunity is by using Google Trends. And then finally, audience insights. I think most of us are probably familiar with this, but I just want to mention it because it is a place that you should go and look to see what your overall audience size is and see like the demographics and the breakdown of that audience. It gives you a good idea, especially if you're building a brand and really trying to enter a marketplace. It gives you a good idea of who your audience is, which is going to help you adjust your marketing angle and your value proposition and understand who you're talking to, and also validate the size of the niche, right? So the things I look for really, collective search volumes, like in keywords of 10,000 or above on Google Keyword Planner, Facebook audiences of at least like 5 million plus a month, so I know there's something that I can scale and be consistent and not burn out that audience. And then finally, identifying viral product potential, all right? So this is where like we try to now take it down to the next level. We know the market, we know the niche. Now we're looking for those products that we can run on Facebook or on AdWords, and like when you get that magic kind of Facebook thing that happens where you're just making money on autopilot. All right, so a few things about looking at a viral product. And it doesn't have to be viral, but I want to talk about viral product because I think this is like where a lot of interest is right now with e-commerce. So one has a mass appeal audience, all right? We're going to look at an example on the next slide, but it has a really large audience, right? Tens of millions of people. That's kind of a must in a way to go viral. Big wow factor, if you're talking about drop shipping, like it has to have that factor where somebody looks at it and is actually like, wow, that's so cool, or wow, I really want that. That's a really cool product. With print on demand, it's more of like I have to have that, or that's so me, or grandpa would so love that shirt, when you see that type of thing. Like that's the type of effect that you're going for in the products you're looking at. And then of course a strong value proposition, which we'll talk about more in a minute. So here's an example of a product. A lot of you guys probably seen this. It went viral towards the end of last year. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to play the video, but it's like a salad bowl chopper, basically, where you can wash your salad and then chop it, and then like it creates this whole thing. It was a great video where it's one of those things that it kind of created a problem in the mind of the audience that wasn't even real, right? Like it's not a big deal to make a salad the traditional way. I've been doing that my whole life. But they like created this video and showed such a cooler, more simple way. And even when watching it, I was like, wow, that's a really cool product. And it kind of creates that gap in your mind that now there's a problem. Now there's a better way to do it, a more efficient way. And like Americans especially, man, Americans will spend money on this kind of stuff all day long. Like when you can show them a product that just makes it seem a little bit cooler, a little bit more efficient, even if they never use that product. You know, like my mom's got so much stuff in the kitchen, just, you know, from cooking channels and all kinds of stuff that just looks cool when you see it and they think they're going to use it. But it's that idea of like that value proposition, that creating the problem, something really cool, unique that they haven't seen before, and then like really backed by a strong video that shows and demonstrates how it works. And of course, testing lots of audiences because, you know, like I'm not here to talk about Facebook, we have other people, but like when testing products like this, I'm looking for broad interests, you know, and just testing like maybe 8 really broad categories that are like tens of millions of people each, and just putting it out there and seeing which ones it's going to stick in because it's a mass appeal product. So I know if I'm getting in at the right time, right, if I'm ahead of the trend, not behind it, then you're going to be able to find some audiences that then you can start duplicating out those ad sets and start really hitting the market hard when it sticks. For a viral print-on-demand product, all right, the idea here is a little bit different. It's the same, but print-on-demand can be a little bit more niche, but you're still looking for like big audience ideas, right? This one, this is a couple years old now. A lot of you guys have probably seen this as well. It was knocked off many times, multiple 7-figure campaign across all the people that were running this for sure. This one specifically sold over 43,000 copies of just that shirt. And like, if you look at it, it's not that great of a design, honestly. It's really not anything impressive. Anybody could do that. You could get that design done for $15 on Fiverr. But it's the message, right? It's the message that connects where somebody looks at that, you know, somebody who has a Papa, right? They look at that and they're like, oh man, that shirt would be so perfect for Papa. Like, I have to get that for him. You know, so in print on demand, Don Wilson is like print on demand legend. And one of the things that he says is that 99% of the time, if you are not selling your print-on-demand product, it's the offer. It's not the targeting, right? It's really not too difficult to know who to target for this. It's the offer usually. So it's all about understanding strong design messages when you're in this, or finding a really good designer that knows how to do this, and then targeting it with passionate groups of people. That you can, again, test lots of audiences, because this could be really broad family audiences that would apply to so many ways. And then this design was knocked off so many times for like grandma and, you know, Gigi and Poppy and like all these different ways. But that's the idea of like a viral print-on-demand product that has mass reach, mass potential to be multiple different campaigns. And then finally, like looking at some of the idea of value proposition, okay? Value proposition, it's all about the outcome. Even if it's something as simple as that t-shirt that we just looked at, still, when somebody's looking at that t-shirt on a subconscious level, they are imagining how that t-shirt would look, or, you know, what that person would feel when you give that to them as a gift, right? If I'm buying that for my grandfather, or if I'm buying a shirt for myself, subconsciously imagining, how am I going to feel wearing this? What am I going to look like in this, right? It's always about the outcome. And why that's important, I know that's kind of a subjective thing to think about, but why that's important is that's what, like Ben talked about earlier, how you create really creative marketing angles to get out there and stand out. That's all about understanding what is the outcome that somebody wants, right? And so these are just a few points that I think are great ideas of outcomes that make winning products that I've seen not only in my own experience, but in people I've worked with, people I've helped consult, people that I just know networking and I've seen their winning products. Number one, of course, solves a problem. This is always going to be like the biggest one, and like I said, it doesn't even need to be a real problem. Of course, it could be a real problem, like the Google Maps thing is a real problem for business owners. Like if they're not on Google Maps, then they're not getting the customers they need. Or it could be like the salad bowl thing, you know, where there's so many of those. There was like the stove cleaner one. Some of you guys may have seen that. It was like stove mats that you can put down, basically a product that lets you be a slob while you're cooking, and you know, it's like you could just be cleaner while you're cooking. But oh, now here's this really cool product that makes it so I can just be messy and not have to worry about it. And like, so I can't go back to the other way. Kind of like creating that gap. And those are best done with like these infomercial type videos that you can get created by either ordering the product or, you know, having somebody go out there and like create this video for you. Pride or ego. And happiness and comfort, really the next two are huge in print on demand. So pride or ego, you know, this is like veterans or people who have certain professions that they're very proud of, like nurses, you know, such a huge niche. They buy based on that pride of representing who they are, what they believe in. Second Amendment in America is a huge thing. You've seen people with these gun rights shirts, and so that's the value proposition there, right? That's the outcome. They feel really proud about representing that, and so they will spend money on that. Happiness and comfort, these are two of the biggest in print on demand for sure. And drop shipping really, because they have like necklaces and stuff for family, stuff for relationships, stuff for pets. These are some of the biggest selling categories, and it all has to do on people spending money on the stuff that makes them happy and gives them comfort. Makes life easier, increase efficiency. These are somewhat similar, but these go again like to a lot of these dropship products you see that are like these unique viral products that just have like one big idea, right? One big value proposition, like the anti-theft backpack, for example. The value proposition there is the anti-theft. Right? So it makes life easier because they don't have to worry about somebody breaking into their backpack. Of course, there were other things that backpack could do, and there are supporting value propositions, but you're really just focusing on like that one main outcome that you think is going to be like the unique mechanism of that product that people are really going to respond to the most, and you make that like the center line of everything to bring people in. So that's my final thoughts on that, breaking it all down, what we went over. You're identifying the trends, looking at the marketplace of like what we talked about in the beginning, validating your niche and your audience from that with the things that we talked about, and then from there, looking for those unique, innovative product ideas with strong value propositions. I want to thank you guys very much for your attention. I hope that you got some value out of this, and let's all go out, crush it this year. Thank you.